Hi, meteorologist Matthew East here with you. Going to try to cut a quick edition of the video this morning. I'm on a different computer than normal, and I do not have my microphone with me, so I'm just having to use the internal mic on the laptop here, so I apologize for the somewhat poor quality of the audio. But let's get right into the modeling about our upcoming winter storm potential next week. This is the last night's run of the European model. This is valid Tuesday early afternoon. There comes your piece of energy diving down through Texas. You go a little bit later in the cycle, and there we are. Looking at 84 hours on the actually these are all out of order now, so I'm going to have to take these as they come. But this is the latest run of the NAM, the 84-hour NAM that just rolled in from 12Z, and you're looking at a big phase ongoing and a blossoming low pressure near the Georgia and South Carolina coast. And I'll show you the surface charts on that in just a second. But now back to the European. And all right, so let's go from this frame right there. There's 66 hours in the European to right there. That is 96 hours on the European, phasing occurring, and that winds up pulling the low pressure much further west than some previous run to the European. That's 108 hours, that upper level energy closing off, and then it turns into a big winter storm in some other places too. Now, here's some of the 850 millibar temperatures. Again, your freezing line at 850 millibars is a rough rain and snow line a lot of times. So this is Tuesday evening. Running from near Spartanburg to just south of Charlotte. You go to 84 hours, the 850 freezing line is retreated a little bit to the north. The GFS model at the same time has the 850 freezing line a little bit south of I-85, pretty close to that mark. And then back to the European at 850 line continues to retreat north by Wednesday evening. And as this low pressure really cranks on the European by overnight Wednesday night into Thursday morning, the 850s warm even further in the eastern half of the Carolinas. Now, on the surface, this is what the European looked like. High pressure, favorable position for cold air damming. This is Tuesday evening. Yesterday, the models went nuts with this leading wave. At least some of the modeling did, especially the NAM. But it looks like, again, we're going to see an initial wave of precip brush through parts of the region Tuesday. The trend this morning and overnight has been for that leading wave of precip to be a little bit further south, maybe south of I-40, maybe even south of a good chunk of North Carolina. And a lot of what falls, say, again, north and west of Interstate 85 or so, excuse me, with that leading wave would be in the form of snow Tuesday and Tuesday night. Now you get to Wednesday morning on the European. There's your low pressure near Mobile, and then you see some pretty rapid deepening of this. This is Wednesday evening, and a lot of what you see here would be sleet and freezing rain across North Carolina and a pretty nasty ice storm down into parts of the upstate and northeast Georgia. And then you go to overnight, Wednesday night into Thursday morning, surface low inland over eastern North Carolina. But the surface freezing line it still has places like Greensboro and Charlotte, even down, I believe most of the time in Greenville, Spartanburg, sub-freezing during this time. So that is a pretty nasty icing situation in some spots. Now the GFS, this was the 6Z run of the GFS. This is valid Wednesday afternoon. I'll go back to that chart real quick. Low pressure off the coast, and that's that second wave that moves in and sends the precip further to the north and west. And I'm telling you why, this is a complex system. All right, here's wave number 1 on the Canadian model. And again, the blue is snow. And that was Tuesday, as that wave moves through. It's Tuesday morning. There you go, Tuesday afternoon, that wave exits. And then here comes the next wave on the Canadian model. This is valid Wednesday in the morning. That's, again, a pretty nasty ice situation down into Georgia and South Carolina, parts of North Carolina. And then that as that coastal low takes over, you see that secondary surge of precipitation lift back further to the north. Something like that, where you're looking at, again, snow and parts of the Charlotte and Triad metros over toward parts of the Triangle too. Again, that is the Canadian model. All right, let's look at the ensemble of the European. It is further east than that wound-up solution on the operational. And again, there's the ensemble position at Thursday morning. And again, you had the on the operational, it was wound up in more inland than what you see there on the ensemble mean. Finally, the NAM. This is the very latest NAM that just came in. So this is the 12Z NAM from today. There's your initial wave of precip, largely missing most of North Carolina. Well, I see what these charts have gotten out of order. I apologize for that. Let me see if I can scoot back to where we were. Well, let me show you this very quickly. There's the European operation. You can notice it's low pressure inland, more so than the Ensemble mean. I think the operational European's a little too far west with that low pressure placement. All right, now back to our NAM model. This is valid Wednesday evening. There's your low pressure off the Carolina coast, and it almost looks like a secondary low pressure trying to develop in the northeast as that phasing is occurring, and that would probably send a good surge of precip back in through the Carolinas by late Wednesday and Wednesday night. So this is a lot of charts just to kind of show you that the models are all over the place. A lot to still figure out with how these pieces of energy will interact. There'll be two waves that move through, one Tuesday, another by Wednesday and Wednesday night, but exactly how those features interact with one another, what degree of phasing we have, will all determine the amounts and types of precipitation we see around the region. So the bottom line is here, I still think a good chunk of North Carolina, a good chunk of South Carolina, and northeast Georgia have a very good potential for winter weather this week. And the further south you go, the more likely ice is to be involved. But again, if the European scenario is correct, it looks very icy in many locations, even pretty far north into North Carolina. So there's a lot of details to iron out. And we're going to continue to see some model changes. The piece of energy involved here in the southern branch doesn't really get ashore until late today and tonight, so I expect some more model swings. But the bottom line is the potential continues to look pretty strong for a winter weather event across a good chunk of the southeast this week, with the details still very much in the air. All right, that is it for today. Everybody have a wonderful Sunday, and God bless.